and welcome back to Big Oggie World. Today, yet again, we are on our own, which is wonderful. We do miss John, but sometimes we all just need a break, and he's gone off to play golf, so I am here starting a recipe, because this recipe is going to be a 2-day thing. We're going to prepare it with its marinade today, and then we'll be cooking it and eating it tomorrow. So, it's something that I've never done before. I've never actually been to Greece or, to have a traditional souvlaki. We're going to do a pulled pork souvlaki. John has, he's looked at the recipe and seems to think it's pretty accurate. The recipe I found is in the Tesco's free magazine. And it's a pulled pork souvlaki with SLAW, which is going to be served in flatbreads. Now, it's come up to another bank holiday weekend, and I think this is perfect because you can freeze it, you can cook it and then freeze it, so you can pull it out whenever you need it. Once it's done, you can leave it sat in the slow cooker on warm, and people can then go and help themselves whenever they want it, and that means that you don't have to do too much work on a weekend, basically. So that would be wonderful. It's pretty simple. We're going to marinate today, cook tomorrow. It's a slow cooker job. So you can imagine we've got a lovely piece of pork shoulder boned. So by the time that is cooked low and slow in a slow cooker and been pulled, it's going to be as tender as tender. And with the aromatics that are going in, it's going to be tasty as anything. And people can just help themselves. And I really like that, because that's just... Isn't that what a weekend is all about? Hopefully, fingers crossed, we get some good weather, and then you can potter around in the garden. You don't have to worry about stopping what you're doing and coming back to cook for people. So, to start off with, we need, as I said, a pork shoulder joint that has been boned. Now, this one, it's quite a big chunk, I got on a yellow sticker. £6, bargain. So the first thing you need to do, because it's boned, it's going to be tied up with string. You need to take your strings off, and then we need to remove the rind and any big fat layer underneath it, because you don't want that, okay? So I've started this, and I've had to change to a big knife because my boning knife's not sharp, and I don't want to make too much of a mess with this. So try and pull the skin back, but don't take the meat. This piece seems to have like a real thick fat part in one part, but no fat in another, which is a bit strange. Now, if you love pork crackling, and the thought of throwing this away offends you, you can obviously salt it up and cook it in the oven or wherever and make yourself some nice crackling. We're not going to do that. That's going in the bin. There's quite a little bit of fat here, which I'm going to try and remove some of it. I mean, a bit of fat is good because fat is flavour, and it's also gives a bit more moisture. But like I said, it is a slow cooker job, so as you know, slow cooker does not dry out, which is another brilliant thing about it. This piece off. Right. I think that will do. So there's still a little bit of fat on there, but just not a really thick layer, she says, and then finds a really thick lump. There. So the next thing you want to do is cut your pork into about 8 pieces, so sort of 8 chunks really. So if I do half, these a little bit smaller because they're... The thing was, because it's a yellow sticker, this piece of pork is much bigger than the pork you need. You need about 1.8 kilograms. This one is nearly 3. So I'm actually going to cut this. I think it'd be all right in 8. I think it'll be all right. They're manageable chunks, I think. There you go. Right, once that's done, we need to mix our marinade. I'll just wash my hands. So, as always, John will put the ingredients down below and it'll be there for you to see. You get a spoon. You need the juice of 2 of the lemons. You're going to need 3 lemons and they're all going to be zested and juiced, but for the marinade part you just need the juice of 2 lemons. So that's the juice of 2. Then you need the zest of all 3, so that's going to go in. You need oregano, salt and pepper, about 8 cloves of garlic. Now, as you know, if you've been around, I use garlic paste. I just find it much easier for me. It doesn't create any waste whatsoever, and I think it's about 70 pence, and that is practically a tube, all bar sort of 1 clove, I guess. So if you think about it, if you get a decent bulb of garlic, there's probably 8 to 10 decent cloves on it. So 70p bargain, I think. So in goes the garlic paste. The other thing about paste is if you're doing things like this, because it is a paste, you'll be able to mix it easier and there won't be any big lumps of garlic anywhere. That's the garlic. And the last thing you need is 2 tablespoons of olive oil. One, 2. Now, I'm going to give this a good mix up because we want to combine it. Because of my garlic paste, it's gone quite thick, which is cool. That means it will stick easier to the meat. And then you need to get yourself a container, a dish or something, or you could use a bag if you've got a bag. I don't have a bag big enough, so I'm going to do it in a dish. So I'm going to put my meat in. Like so. And then 1 minute, I'm going to get a bigger dish. Bigger dish. Spread your marinade over. Now the easiest way to do this is get your hands in, unless you've got it in a bag. If you've got it in a bag, obviously you can mash it around and whatever. But you're going to want to make sure that your meat is covered on all sides. There. Now, we're going to leave it sat in that marinade until tomorrow. You can leave it for sort of 12 hours for overnight if you're going to do it late in the evening, or up to 24 hours. So this is now sort of midday, and I'm going to cook it or start cooking it first thing in the morning. So in theory, we're going sort of an overnight type timing. So we'll be back tomorrow with the next stage. See you all again. Good morning everyone, and it is morning. It is 7:45 in the morning nonetheless. So we're up and about early because we need to go out today, but I need to get this pork into the slow cooker. So step 2, the pork's been in overnight in the marinade. So all you do is you transfer your meat into the slow cooker. And it goes. And you also put in all of the marinade that's left. Now all that's left to do is to put your slow cooker on low for 6 hours or high for 3 hours, obviously depending on how much meat you got. So as I said, mine was much larger than the actual recipe, so I'm going to put mine on for 7 to 8 hours on low, so it'll be ready for us later on. So that's it, and I'll be back later to do the accompaniments that come back with it. So I'll see you all later. Bye. Okay, so I'm getting ready to make the slaw that goes with the pulled pork. The pulled pork smells absolutely delicious. So I'm going to make the dressing. I've not chopped my apples yet because, as you know, as soon as you chop an apple, it's going to start going brown. So I'm going to make the dressing first. Then I'm going to chop the apples and put the apples in the dressing so that they're covered first, which would stop them going brown. And then I'll add the cabbage and the spring onions. So to make the dressing, you need a large bowl. Can't get much larger than that one. And we are going to add 3 tablespoons of olive oil. 1, 2, 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Now this is, I guess, what you would call sort of a traditional Greek style dressing, something, I guess. It's the sort of dressing that you get on the salad that comes along with a kebab, quite frankly. Then we need 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar. 1, 2. The rest of our lemon juice, so that's the juice of a lemon. Sorry about the mess, but hey ho, you have to go with it. And then 2 teaspoons of caster sugar, just to give it a bit of a sweetener. Give that a little whisk up, combine it all. You kind of want to keep mixing it until the sugar's dissolved. Right. Now I am going to core and finely chop my apples. So I'll be back when I've done that. Okay, so So I've done the apples and I've whizzed them around in the dressing so they don't go brown, because that's going to be the first disgusting thing. Then you're going to add your white cabbage, which has been finely shredded. I've done mine in the food processor, but you can just slice it by hand. You need about 500 grams of white cabbage. It's kind of like a slaw, but without any carrot. And then you're going to add a bunch of spring onions, about 6 spring onions that you finely sliced. And there you go. And that's instead of white onion that you quite often find in these slaws. Give it all a good mix around. There we go. And that, my friends, is the slaw to go with our pulled pork. Now, along with the pulled pork, we're going to serve it in flatbreads with the slaw. I'm going to finely slice some red onion so that you can add red onion to it, and you can add cucumber and other bits of salad to it if you wish. Obviously, the pork has been marinated with garlic and lemon, so you can use mayonnaise and all those sorts of things, or chili if you like it, or hot sauce. Sorry, I've got a hair over my eye. Whatever you like, you can use. So I will plate one up later when it's ready and we will show you. But in the meantime, I'm going to leave my slaw to marinate in the dressing. Okay, so everything's ready. I've just put a wrap in to warm up, and once that's done, I will take a picture of the pulled pork thing put together into a wrap. We're using these wraps that we found recently. They're Persian style flatbreads, but they've got ridges in them which make them easier to roll, which are fab. So I'm warming one of those up, and then I will pull some pork for you and show you what it looks like at the end. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's very simple, it's taken no work at all really, and it works out to be a very cost-effective, delicious tea and perfect for over the bank holiday weekend. So we will see you all again soon. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you have, fabulous. Make sure you've hit the notification bell. Come and join us over on Facebook, or find us on TikTok, even on Instagram, I believe. So we'll see you all again soon. Have a lovely time. Bye for now.